facing the police every single day.
In August of 2018, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office asked the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to look into Jackson County Deputy Zachary Wester after they believed he was planting drugs inside vehicles and arresting the drivers on made-up drug charges.
This is not something that we condone. We're not proud of it, but it is the facts that we're dealing with.
Wester was fired from the sheriff's office in September, and according to the FDLE, after an extensive investigation, Wester was arrested Wednesday morning in Crawfordville on 52 counts, including racketeering, fabricating evidence, and false imprisonment. But the investigation continues.
FDLE has assigned a team of 10 special agents, 2 crime intelligence analysts, who have logged over 1,400 hours on this case already. And it's still ongoing even today.
The First Judicial Circuit of Florida out of Pensacola will lead the prosecution, and state attorney's office officials say despite the active investigation, they believe they're ready to go to court.
It's been the policy of my office that we do not plea bargain these type of cases. We believe they're very serious, and we expect to proceed based on my review of the matter. We expect to proceed to the trial of these cases.
In September, the state attorney's office dropped 119 cases against the people Wester allegedly planted drugs on, but sheriff's officials did want to thank them for their patience.
There were some things that came through, such as a storm, that delayed some of this, but I want to thank the public for being there and patiently waiting.
In Marianna, Blake Brandon, News Channel 7.
With other charges, as Mike Vassalindi's second time this month, a Florida sheriff's deputy is behind bars accused of making bogus drug arrests. Former Martin County Deputy Stephen O'Leary was charged with 52 counts. Prosecutors say he planted drugs or fake drugs on unsuspecting motorists. Fired Jackson County Deputy Zachary Wester faces 9 counts of false imprisonment along with other charges. As Mike Vassalinda found out, the arrests have been costly for those wrongly accused.
Would you concede to it?
Teresa Odom was adamant when a deputy told her drugs were found in her car.
That is not mine.
A diligent prosecutor scrutinizing body cam video of the Odom search found Deputy Zach Wester clearly manipulating a white packet. Wester was arrested July 10th. 18 months after her arrest, Teresa Odom is still struggling to recover. She texted us she was afraid of tainting the jury pool, so she put us in touch with her ex-husband.
Right now, she is suffering. She doesn't hardly sleep. She doesn't hardly eat. This thing is consuming her.
Steve says Teresa's home's been broken into twice with things left, not taken, in what he believes is an effort to intimidate her.
Something like this is going to taint her and follow her the rest of her life. There's periods of time when she could not see the grandbaby, and she lives for her grandbaby.
Deputies here in Jackson County who couldn't go on camera for obvious reasons tell us every day they feel that they've gotten the black eye. Here in Jackson County, 119 cases were dismissed involving Zach Wester. The arrest of former Martin County Deputy Stephen O'Leary Monday has tainted at least 14 cases. Steve asks an important question.
What price do you put on a life that is ruined?
And the courts may be the one to answer. The 2 deputies and their agencies are facing more than 50 lawsuits. Reporting from Jackson County, Florida, Mike Vassalinda, Channel 4, the local station.
O'Leary, the former Martin County deputy who was arrested Monday, was stopped riding in a car 400 miles from his home. It's believed he was fleeing the state. Both deputies face decades in prison.
Edens, who says he's prepared. A dirty cop plants drugs on people, then arrests them. But that's what investigators say happened in one North Florida county. I'm Lynn Hatter. Nearly 120 cases have been dropped and about a dozen lawsuits have been filed against the Jackson County Sheriff's Department. That's where 26-year-old Zachary Wester worked as a deputy until last September when he was fired. Investigators say they spent hundreds of hours looking into Wester after the Jackson County Sheriff requested an independent inquiry. Among the evidence gathered, drugs in Wester's patrol car.
The investigation revealed 42 items of drug paraphernalia, 10 separately packaged quantities of methamphetamine, and 5 separate quantities of marijuana.
The Florida Department of Law Enforcement's Chris Williams says it's logged more than 1,400 hours on the case. Jackson County is in the 14th Judicial District, but the state prosecutor recused himself, and Governor Ron DeSantis moved the case to 1st District State Attorney Bill Eddins, who says he's prepared to go to trial immediately.
The investigation has reached a point where I felt, although it's not complete, and I want to emphasize that, the investigation had reached a point where I felt that it was appropriate because of the nature of the charges and the fact that it was a public employee. I determined that it was appropriate to seek an arrest warrant from a judge and have the defendant arrested.
Wester is facing scores of felony and misdemeanor charges stemming from his arrests of 11 people. The most serious are felony charges of racketeering, which carry a minimum of 13.5 years in prison. But why did Wester plant drugs on people? And was he targeting anyone?
You're never certain of what lays in the heart of man. We have some ideas and some theories, and we've talked about that a lot, but I do not feel that it would be appropriate to really go into it in any detail at this time.
What he can say is that there won't be any deals, no plea bargains, no reduced charges.
My office has a history of taking a very strong position in matters involving public employees or public officials.
There's no official count on the number of crimes committed by or arrests of law enforcement, so the U.S. Department of Justice commissioned a study. That 2016 report is called Police Integrity Lost. It examined the extent and nature of police crimes in the United States, and it looked into how agencies responded to officers arrested. Researchers at Bowling Green State University looked to news reports of officers arrested between 2005 and 2011, and they found about 2 officer arrests per 100,000 officers nationwide.
It's not that uncommon that police officers get in trouble. Police officers get arrested across the country literally every day of the year across the United States, where a police officer not only gets arrested, but there's an article or more than one article in the local newspapers about the alleged crimes.
Phil Stenson is a former officer and assistant professor of criminal justice at Bowling Green State. He was the lead researcher on that 2016 DOJ study and now runs a database of officer arrests. There's a podcast, too, where he discusses his work. In the era of video, when people are recording and so are officers, Stenson says it's likely more of them will be caught.
With some of these devices, the camera's actually always on, if you will, but it's set up in a way that it records the 30 seconds prior to when the on switch is engaged. So if an officer puts the on switch on, it's going to capture what happened in the seconds immediately before that and keep that part of the recording. And what we're seeing in some of these cases is that officers have been accused of planting evidence in a few instances where they really didn't think that through.
That's what happened in a similar case in Baltimore last year. Florida investigators say Jackson County's ex-deputy Wester manipulated his body camera to hide what he was doing. There are more than 1 million sworn law enforcement officers in the country, and the number of those arrested for crimes is relatively low. But each time it happens, State Attorney Eddins says it cuts to the heart of the criminal justice system. A 2018 Gallup poll shows law enforcement is one of the most trusted institutions in the country, but faith in the criminal justice system isn't. And Florida Department of Law Enforcement's Chris Williams, speaking by phone, says Wester's actions are another blow to public confidence.
He clearly violated his oath of office, and as a result of that, people lost their liberty based on his crimes.
This is something we're not proud of. No agency wants to go through this type of situation and face the embarrassment from the public.
That's Jackson County Sheriff Lou Roberts. Police crimes have real-world consequences. An arrest, even without a charge, is still a record, and mugshots can live online in perpetuity. In Wester's case, at least one of his alleged crimes cost a man custody of his daughter. For WFSU News, I'm Lynn Hatter.
Hey Sheriff County, this is Sheriff County COPWATCH. I am using any video here with under fair use if you have criticism, reporting, teaching, etc. And please donate. I do not make money from YouTube, and there are different ways to donate in the video links. Thanks.